The gas pump clicked off, and Maya Turner groaned as she watched the digital numbers on the meter settle at an amount that would make her bank account cry. As a 26-year-old elementary school art teacher, 3 months into her first full-time position, every dollar mattered. She replaced the nozzle and trudged toward the mini-mart to pay, mentally calculating how many packets of ramen she'd need to eat this week to make up for the unexpected expense. Her beat-up 2005 Honda Civic had been making an alarming whining noise for the past 20 miles, but Maya had been stubbornly ignoring it. The car was all she had left from her college days, a graduation gift from her grandmother, who'd passed away last year. The thought of replacing it hurt both emotionally and financially. After paying for the gas with her nearly maxed-out credit card, she climbed back into the driver's seat, said a quick prayer, and turned the key. Nothing happened except a sad clicking noise. She tried again. Still nothing. "No, no, no," Maya muttered, leaning her forehead against the steering wheel. "Not now. Please not now." She was still 120 miles from home after visiting her friend in Portland for the weekend. This small gas station sat on a lonely stretch of highway between nowhere and nothing, the last stop she'd planned to make before completing the drive back to her tiny apartment in Seattle. After a third failed attempt to start the car, Maya reluctantly pulled out her phone. No service. Perfect. "Are you kidding me?" she muttered, getting out of the car to walk around. Holding her phone up in various directions like some kind of modern-day divining rod. Not a single bar appeared. The gas station was nearly deserted at 7 p.m. on a Sunday. An older woman behind the counter inside was the only employee she'd seen, and the only other vehicle was a sleek black Range Rover parked near the air pump. Maya made her way back inside. "Excuse me," she said to the cashier. "My car won't start. Do you have a phone I could use to call roadside assistance?" The woman shook her head. "Landline's been out since yesterday's storm. Cell service is spotty at best around here. Nearest town with a mechanic is about 30 miles east, but they'll be closed on Sunday." Maya felt panic rising in her chest. "Is there a bus that comes through here? Or maybe someone who could give me a ride to somewhere with better reception?" "Last bus was at noon, honey. Next one's tomorrow at 10 a.m. The door chimed, and Maya turned to see a tall man in his early 30s enter the store. He was dressed casually in jeans and a simple gray t-shirt that did nothing to hide his athletic build. His dark hair was slightly tousled, and despite the situation, Maya couldn't help noticing his striking blue eyes as they briefly met hers. "Sorry to interrupt," he said with a warm, deep voice. "I couldn't help overhearing." "Car trouble?" Maya nodded, suddenly aware of her messy ponytail and the coffee stain on her sweater from the morning. "Yeah, it won't start, just making a clicking noise." The man placed his items on the counter, bottled water and a protein bar, and paid quickly. "I know a bit about cars. Mind if I take a look?" Under normal circumstances, Maya might have hesitated to accept help from a stranger, but her options were severely limited. "That would be amazing, thank you." She followed him outside to her car. "I'm Maya, by the way." "Connor," he replied with a smile that made her stomach do an unexpected flip. "Connor Evans." Connor popped the hood of her Honda and leaned in, his brow furrowing in concentration. Maya stood awkwardly beside him, watching his capable hands move methodically around the engine. "Try starting it again?" he asked after a moment. Maya slid into the driver's seat and turned the key. Click, click, click. Connor nodded as if confirming something. "Your battery's not completely dead, but your starter motor is shot. Unfortunately, that's not something I can fix here." Maya's heart sank. "How much is that going to cost?" "Depends on the mechanic, but probably a few $100s with parts and labor." He must have noticed her face fall because he quickly added, "I'm heading to Seattle. I could give you a ride if that's helpful." Maya hesitated. Getting into a car with a stranger wasn't exactly following safety protocols, but there was something about Connor that seemed trustworthy. His eyes were kind and he hadn't given off any creepy vibes. Plus, she really didn't want to spend the night at this gas station. "I'm actually heading to Seattle too," she said, "but I can't just leave my car here." "The station has a small lot around back where they let people park overnight," the cashier called from the doorway. "Eddie can tow it to his shop tomorrow when he opens." Connor smiled. "Problem solved. What do you say? I promise I'm not an axe murderer." "That's exactly what an axe murderer would say," Maya replied with a small laugh. But I guess I don't have many options. While Connor helped Maya move her car to the back lot, she grabbed her weekend bag and purse from the trunk. The cashier gave her Eddie the mechanic's business card, and Maya left a voicemail explaining her situation. Connor led her to the black Range Rover she'd noticed earlier. As he opened the passenger door for her, she was struck by the luxurious leather interior that still had that new car smell. This vehicle probably cost more than she made in 2 years. "Nice car," she commented as he slid into the driver's seat. "Much nicer than my Honda," he chuckled. "It gets me where I need to go, comfortable for long drives." As they pulled onto the highway, Maya sent a quick text to her best friend Layla with Connor's license plate number and a selfie of them, both just to be safe. Connor had suggested it himself, which had significantly increased her comfort level. "So, what do you do in Seattle?" Maya asked, settling into the impossibly comfortable seat. "I work in tech," Connor replied vaguely. "Software development. What about you?" "I'm an elementary school art teacher. Just started at Pinewood Elementary this fall." Connor's face lit up. "Really? I love art. Did you always want to be a teacher?" The conversation flowed easily as they drove through the darkening countryside. Maya found herself relaxing as they discussed favorite artists, books, and their shared love of hiking in the Pacific Northwest. Connor was surprisingly easy to talk to, intelligent and funny, with none of the arrogance she might have expected from someone driving a car worth more than her annual salary. An hour into the drive, heavy rain began to fall, and Connor slowed down, his hands steady on the wheel. The windshield wipers worked furiously against the downpour. "Looks like we're in for some weather," he said. "There's a diner about 15 minutes ahead if you're hungry. We could wait out the worst of it there." Maya's stomach growled in response, and they both laughed. "I guess that's a yes," she said. The diner was a cozy, retro-styled place with red vinyl booths and waitresses in classic uniforms. Despite it being Sunday night, several tables were occupied, mostly by truckers and locals. They slid into a booth by the window, watching the rain lash against the glass as they ordered a burger for Connor and breakfast for dinner for Maya. As they waited for their food, Maya noticed Connor checking his phone with a slight frown. "Everything okay?" she asked. He put his phone down. "Just some work stuff, nothing urgent." His smile returned. "So, tell me about your students. Do you have a favorite age group to teach?" "Third graders," Maya replied without hesitation. "They're old enough to follow instructions, but young enough to still think art is magical. Plus, they haven't developed that self-consciousness that makes older kids afraid to experiment." Connor leaned forward, genuinely interested. "What's your teaching philosophy?" "That everyone has creativity inside them. My job is to help them find it and express it. It's not about making perfect pictures. It's about making something that means something to them." Maya realized she was gesturing animatedly with her hands and stopped, slightly embarrassed. "Sorry, I get a bit passionate about it." "Don't apologize," Connor said. "It's refreshing to meet someone who cares so much about what they do." Their food arrived, and they fell into comfortable conversation about their respective childhoods, hers in a small town in Oregon, his in the suburbs of Boston. Maya noticed he spoke with fondness about his parents, but was somewhat vague about his current work. Probably just being professional, she thought. As they finished their meal, the rain had slackened to a drizzle. Connor insisted on paying the bill despite Maya's protests. "You can get the next one," he said, then immediately looked flustered. "I mean, if there is a next one, which, Maya felt a warmth spreading through her chest at his sudden awkwardness. For someone who had seemed so confident, it was endearing to see him stumble over his words. "I'd like that," she said quietly. The rest of the drive to Seattle passed quickly, with Connor asking thoughtful questions about her teaching and sharing funny stories about his college days studying computer science. As they approached the city, Maya directed him to her apartment in a modest neighborhood. Connor pulled up in front of her building, a distinctly unglamorous 4-story walk-up that had seen better days. The contrast between her home and his luxury SUV couldn't have been more stark. "This is me," Maya said, suddenly self-conscious. "Thank you so much for the ride, and dinner. You really saved me tonight." "It was my pleasure," Connor replied. Honestly, this turned out to be much better than driving alone. An awkward moment passed, as neither seemed to know how to say goodbye. Finally, Maya gathered her courage. I should give you my number, so I can pay you back for dinner sometime. Connor's smile was warm as they exchanged numbers. As she climbed out of his car, Maya found herself hoping he would call. There had been something special about their connection, something that felt worth exploring. I'll check in tomorrow to see how things went with your car, he promised before driving away. Maya watched the taillights of his expensive SUV disappear around the corner, wondering if she'd ever hear from him again. Men who drove cars like that didn't usually move in the same circles as underpaid teachers with student loan debt. When she entered her apartment, her roommate Layla was sprawled on the couch watching a reality show. She sat up when Maya entered. "You're back early, and where's your car?" She paused the TV. "Wait, is this the guy you texted me about? The rescue ranger with the fancy wheels?" Maya dropped onto the couch beside her friend. "Yeah. My car died at a gas station in the middle of nowhere. He offered me a ride." Layla wiggled her eyebrows. "And? Details, please. Was he cute?" "Very," Maya admitted. "And nice, smart, funny. He works in tech, drives a car that probably costs as much as this entire building, and yet wasn't at all stuck up about it." "Sounds too good to be true," Layla said skeptically. "Did you Google him?" "No, should I have?" Maya pulled out her phone. "Duh. What was his name again?" "Connor Evans." Layla grabbed Maya's phone and typed rapidly. After a moment, her eyes widened. "Holy crap." "What?" Maya leaned over to see the screen. "Your ride wasn't just some tech guy," Layla said, turning the phone so Maya could see. "He's the tech guy. Connor Evans, founder and CEO of EvaTech. The guy's worth hundreds of millions." Maya stared at the professional photo on the screen. It was definitely him, though in the photo he was wearing a tailored suit instead of the casual clothes he'd worn today. The article headline read, "EvaTech founder Connor Evans makes Forbes 30 under 30 for revolutionary security software." "That can't be right," Maya said, taking the phone. "He was so normal." "Well, according to this, he sold his first software company for $50 million at age 25 and started EvaTech 3 years ago. It's now valued at over $800 million. Layla was scrolling through another article on her own phone, and apparently he's notoriously private, hardly any social media presence, rarely gives interviews. Maya felt slightly dizzy. She'd spent hours talking to a tech millionaire and hadn't had a clue. He'd listened to her ramble about construction paper art projects while being able to buy the entire school if he wanted to. Her phone pinged with a text message. "Connor, made it home. Hope you're settled in, okay. I enjoyed talking with you tonight." Maya stared at the message, not sure how to respond now that she knew who he really was. "Are you going to text him back?" Layla prompted. "I don't know. What do I say?" "Thanks for not mentioning you're basically a tech genius billionaire." Layla shrugged. "Maybe he didn't tell you because he wanted you to see him as a regular guy. Not everyone with money flaunts it." Maya considered this as she typed a response. "Maya, home safe. Thanks again for rescuing me. I enjoyed our conversations too." His reply came almost immediately. "Connor, about that dinner you owe me. Are you free Tuesday night?" Maya bit her lip, her thumb hovering over the keyboard. Did she really want to get involved with someone from a completely different world? Someone who could buy and sell her modest life 1,000 times over? But then she remembered how easy it had been to talk to him, how his eyes had lit up when she described her students' art projects, how he'd seemed genuinely interested in her thoughts and opinions. That wasn't about money, that was about connection. "Maya, Tuesday works, 7 p.m., Connor, perfect. I'll pick you up." "Dress casual." "Well?" Layla asked, watching Maya's face. "I guess I have a date with a millionaire on Tuesday," Maya replied, still not quite believing it. The next morning, Maya called Eddie's auto repair as soon as they opened. The news wasn't good, her starter motor was indeed shot, and there were several other issues that needed addressing. The total estimate came to just over $1,200. "That's more than the car is worth," Maya sighed, sitting at her desk during her planning period at school. "I can hold it here until you decide what you want to do," Eddie offered. "No rush." Maya thanked him and hung up, staring blankly at the lesson plans in front of her. She'd been saving for a new car. but that fund contained just $800 so far. Between her student loans, rent, and other expenses, she simply didn't have an extra $1,000 lying around. Her phone buzzed with a text from Connor. "Connor, how's the car situation?" Maya debated how honest to be. She didn't want to come across as fishing for help from her newly discovered millionaire acquaintance. "Maya, not great. Repair would cost more than the car is worth. Trying to figure out my options." Connor, "That's tough. Public transport options near you?" Maya smiled at his practical question rather than immediately offering to buy her a new car or something equally outlandish. Maya, "Bus stop a block away. I can make it work for now." Connor, "Still on for tomorrow night?" Maya, "Definitely, looking forward to it." The rest of Monday passed in a blur of paint smudges and glitter as Maya helped her students create fall-themed collages. By the time she got home, she'd almost managed to push aside her car troubles and focus on her upcoming date. Almost. "What are you wearing tomorrow?" Layla asked, poking her head into Maya's bedroom, where Maya was standing in front of her open closet with a frustrated expression. "I have no idea. He said casual, but does that mean the same thing to him as it does to me?" Maya pulled out a simple sundress, then shook her head and put it back. "Just be yourself," Layla advised. "He seemed to like you just fine when you had a coffee stain on your sweater." Maya groaned. "I forgot about that. Not my finest moment." Tuesday evening arrived, and Maya settled on dark jeans, ankle boots, and a soft blue blouse that brought out the green in her eyes. She'd left her long brown hair down, with just a touch of makeup to enhance her features without looking overdone. At precisely 7 p.m., her phone buzzed. "Connor, I'm outside." Maya took a deep breath, grabbed her purse, and headed downstairs. Connor was standing beside his Range Rover, dressed in dark jeans and a forest green button-down shirt, with the sleeves rolled up to his elbows. He looked even more handsome than she remembered, and her heart did a little flip when he smiled at her. "You look beautiful," he said, opening the passenger door for her. "Thanks," Maya replied, sliding into the seat. "You clean up pretty well yourself." As they drove, Maya finally addressed the elephant in the room. "So, I may have Googled you after we parted ways." Connor winced slightly. "Ah, I was wondering if that might happen. Why didn't you tell me who you really were?" Maya asked, watching his profile as he drove. He glanced at her briefly before returning his eyes to the road. "Because for once, someone was talking to me like a normal person, not like I was a walking dollar sign or a potential investor. It was refreshing." Maya could understand that. "Fair enough, but it was a little shocking to discover I'd spent hours chatting with the founder of Evatech." Connor chuckled. "If it helps, I'm still the same guy who helped you with your car. The job title doesn't change who I am." They arrived at a small, unassuming Italian restaurant tucked away on a side street. It wasn't the exclusive, impossible-to-get-into place Maya had half expected, but rather a cozy, family-owned establishment with checkered tablecloths and candles and wine bottles. "I hope this is okay," Connor said as they were led to a corner table. "It's one of my favorite places in the city. The owner, Giuseppe, makes the pasta fresh every day." "It's perfect," Maya said truthfully, relaxing into her chair. "Much more my speed than some fancy place where I wouldn't know which fork to use." The evening passed in a comfortable rhythm of good food, better conversation, and occasional bursts of laughter. Connor told her about growing up with a fascination for computers, building his first program at age 12, and the sleepless nights of coding that had led to his first breakthrough. "It was never about the money," he explained as they shared a tiramisu for dessert. "It was about solving problems, creating something that could help people." "And now?" Maya asked. "When you have more money than most people can imagine?" Connor's expression grew thoughtful. "Now, it's about making sure I use it well. My parents raised me to believe that success comes with responsibility. That's why I started the Evans Foundation to fund educational initiatives for underserved communities." Maya nearly choked on her dessert. "Wait, the Evans Foundation is yours? We just got a grant from them at Pinewood for new art supplies and technology for our classroom." Connor's face lit up. "Really? That's amazing. What a small world." As they left the restaurant, the night air was crisp but not unpleasant. Connor surprised her by suggesting they walk for a while along the waterfront, rather than immediately getting back in the car. "So," he said, as they strolled side by side, occasionally brushing shoulders, "can I ask you something?" "Sure," Maya replied, looking up at him. "Does it bother you, the money thing?" His tone was casual, but Maya could sense the importance of the question. She considered for a moment. "I'd be lying if I said I wasn't intimidated by it. We come from very different worlds, Connor. You could buy an art supply company while I'm clipping coupons to afford good paintbrushes for my classroom." He nodded, accepting her honesty. And it doesn't define who you are, at least not the parts I've seen so far." She smiled up at him. "I like the guy who stopped to help a stranger with car trouble, the one who talks passionately about coding the way I talk about art. The money is just circumstantial." Connor's relief was visible. "You'd be surprised how many people can't see past it. It makes it hard to know who's interested in me versus who's interested in what I can do for them." They had stopped walking, facing each other now. The lights of the city skyline twinkled across the water behind them. "For the record," Maya said softly, "I was interested when I thought you were just a nice guy in a fancy car." Connor's eyes dropped to her lips for just a moment before he smiled. "Good to know." The tension between them was palpable, but he didn't make a move to kiss her, instead offering his hand as they continued their walk. Maya slipped her hand into his, enjoying the warmth and the slight squeeze he gave in response. By the time Connor drove her home, it was nearly midnight. He walked her to her door, hands in his pockets. "I had a great time," he said. "Would it be too forward to ask when I can see you again?" Maya smiled. "Not at all. I'm free this weekend. Saturday? I know a great hiking trail if you're up for it." "That sounds perfect." This time, when he leaned in, Maya met him halfway. The kiss was gentle, brief, but full of promise. His hand brushed her cheek as he pulled away, his eyes searching hers. "Good night, Maya." "Good night, Connor." Inside, Layla was waiting, predictably, with a barrage of questions. Maya collapsed onto the couch, a dreamy smile on her face. "That good, huh?" Layla said, noting her expression. "He's not what I expected," Maya admitted. "Money aside, he's just a genuinely good person, smart, thoughtful, passionate about his work." "And the money?" Layla pressed. "Honestly, I almost forgot about it. Until the end, when he mentioned his foundation, and I realized it's the same one that funded our art program at school." Maya shook her head in disbelief. "It's like the universe is playing some weird joke." "Or maybe it's fate," Layla suggested with a wink. The next few weeks passed in a whirlwind of dates and text messages. Connor took Maya hiking as promised, then to a small art gallery featuring local artists, and to a cooking class where they both failed spectacularly at making soufflés. Maya introduced him to her favorite bookstore cafe and the community garden where she volunteered on weekends. Each date revealed more layers to Connor. Yes, he was brilliant and successful, but he was also dorky, with a terrible penchant for dad jokes. He could talk for hours about coding problems, but became endearingly flustered when Maya complimented him. He worked too much, but was trying to find better balance. He loved dogs, but traveled too much to have one. For her part, Maya shared her own complexities. Her dreams of someday opening a community art center, her struggles with student debt, her grief over losing her grandmother, and her occasional doubts about whether teaching was making enough of a difference in her students' lives. Through it all, the issue of her car remained. She'd decided to use public transportation for now, while saving up for something more reliable. Connor had offered to help once, but had respectfully backed off when she'd firmly declined. "It's not about pride," she'd explained. "It's about knowing I can stand on my own feet." He'd nodded. "I understand, but the offer stands if you change your mind." One Friday afternoon, about a month into their relationship, Maya was packing up her classroom when her phone rang. "Ms. Turner?" a man's voice asked when she answered. "This is Eddie from the auto shop. Just wanted to let you know your car is all fixed up and ready for pickup." Maya frowned in confusion. "There must be some mistake. I didn't authorize any repairs." "No mistake, madam. Got the work order right here, signed by Maya Turner. All paid up, too." Maya's confusion turned to suspicion. "Eddie, who paid for these repairs?" There was a pause. You did, according to my paperwork." Maya thanked him and hung up, immediately calling Connor. He answered on the second ring. "Hey you," he said warmly. "Just finishing up a meeting." "Did you pay to have my car fixed?" Maya asked without preamble. The silence on the other end was answer enough. "Connor, I told you I didn't want your help with this." "Technically," he finally said, "I didn't help you. I helped your car." It was looking very sad all alone at Eddie's shop. Despite her irritation, Maya couldn't help but smile at his ridiculous justification. "You know what I mean. We talked about this." "We did," Connor agreed. "And I respect your independence, Maya. I do. But here's the thing. If a friend was struggling with something I could easily help with, I wouldn't hesitate. Why should it be different just because we're dating?" "Because it sets a precedent," Maya replied, lowering her voice as a colleague walked by. "What's next? You pay off my student loans? Buy me a house? Where does it end?" "With you not having to worry about basic transportation to get to your job teaching kids," Connor replied, his tone gentle but firm. "Look, I'm not trying to control you or make you dependent on me. It's a one-time thing to solve a specific problem. If it really bothers you that much, you can pay me back in installments over time." Maya sighed. She knew he was being reasonable, and she was possibly overreacting. "I'm sorry, it's just, I've been taking care of myself for so long. It's hard to accept help, especially financial help." "I know," Connor said softly, "and I love that about you. Your independence is one of the things that attracted me to you in the first place. But part of being in a relationship is letting someone care for you sometimes." "You're right," Maya conceded. "Thank you for fixing my car. I'll pay you back." "How about this?" Connor suggested. "Your payment can be cooking me that lasagna you've been bragging about." "Deal?" Maya laughed. "That hardly seems fair. Trust me, if it's as good as you claim, it's more than fair." That evening, Maya picked up her car from Eddie's shop, surprised to find that Connor had paid not just for the starter motor, but for a complete tune-up and several preventative repairs that would keep the old Honda running smoothly for years to come. She drove directly to Connor's place, a beautiful but surprisingly modest waterfront condo that occupied the entire top floor of its building. His taste was minimalist but warm, with floor-to-ceiling windows offering spectacular views of the city and water beyond. Connor was on a work call when she arrived, but he had given her a key the week before. Maya let herself in and headed to the kitchen, unpacking the grocery bags she'd brought for the promised lasagna. She could hear Connor's voice from his home office, sounding firm but patient as he walked someone through a technical issue. As she layered noodles, sauce, and cheese, Maya found herself reflecting on their relationship so far. Despite their different backgrounds, they fit together in a way that felt both surprising and inevitable. Connor challenged her to think bigger about her dreams while supporting her current path. She helped him disconnect from work and appreciate the smaller joys in life. The sound of Connor's footsteps pulled her from her thoughts. He appeared in the doorway, looking tired but happy to see her. "Something smells amazing," he said, coming up behind her to wrap his arms around her waist and plant a kiss on her neck. Maya leaned back into his embrace. "Grandma's secret recipe. It'll be ready in about 45 minutes. "Perfect." He reached past her to steal a piece of mozzarella, earning a playful slap on the hand. "How was your day?" she asked, as he released her to pour them each a glass of wine. "Long, complex. There's a potential security issue with our newest release." He handed her a glass and clinked his against it. "But much better now." They moved to the living room, while the lasagna baked, settling onto his comfortable couch with Maya's legs stretched across Connor's lap. "I've been thinking," Connor said, absently massaging her feet. "My lease is up in a couple of months." "Oh?" Maya took a sip of her wine. "Planning to upgrade to an even fancier place?" Connor shook his head. "Actually, I've been considering buying a house. Something with a yard, maybe outside the city center. Somewhere more permanent." The weight of the word hung between them. At 2 months in, their relationship was still relatively new, but it had progressed quickly, with an intensity and comfort that made it feel much more established. "That sounds nice," Maya said carefully. "Any specific areas you're looking at?" "I've seen a few properties in Maple Valley, good schools nearby." His eyes met hers, gauging her reaction. Maya felt her heart rate increase. "Schools, huh?" "Just thinking about the future," Connor said, his tone casual, though his eyes remained intent on hers. Long-term planning is kind of my thing. Maya smiled. I've noticed. The oven timer saved her from having to respond more directly, but the conversation lingered in her mind throughout dinner. Connor wasn't just thinking about a house, he was thinking about a future that potentially included her, included children. The thought was both exhilarating and terrifying. Later that night, curled together in his bed, Maya finally broached the subject again. Were you testing the waters earlier, with the house comment? Connor propped himself up on one elbow, looking down at her in the dim light. Maybe a little. Too soon? No, Maya said honestly. Just big. We've only known each other 2 months. 2 months, 1 week, and 3 days, Connor corrected with a smile. But who's counting? Maya laughed. Exactly. It's not very long. True, Connor agreed. But I knew from that first night, driving you back from the gas station, that there was something special happening. I've never connected with someone the way I connect with you. Maya reached up to touch his face. I feel it too. I'm just a cautious person by nature. I know. He turned to kiss her palm. And I'm not suggesting we move in together tomorrow or anything. I'm just including you in my thinking. Is that okay? More than okay, Maya whispered, pulling him down for a kiss. As fall turned to winter, their relationship deepened. Connor became a familiar face at school events, helping set up for the art show and patiently teaching coding basics to Maya's more tech-curious students. Maya got to know Connor's small circle of trusted friends and was introduced to his parents when they visited from Boston for Thanksgiving. Connor's mother, Catherine, was a warm, practical woman who had taught mathematics at a community college before retiring. His father, Richard, was a civil engineer with a dry wit and a passion for woodworking. They welcomed Maya without a hint of judgment about her more modest career or background. He's different with you, Catherine told Maya as they washed dishes together after the meal. More grounded, more present. He works too hard, Maya replied, but he's getting better at taking breaks. Catherine smiled knowingly. That's your influence. Richard and I worried about him for years, all that success at such a young age, and no one to share it with. By Christmas, they had settled into a comfortable rhythm, spending most nights at Connor's place but occasional weekends at Maya's apartment to maintain her independence and her friendship with Layla. Connor had indeed purchased a house, a beautiful craftsman in Maple Valley, with a dedicated studio space that he claimed was perfect for Maya's painting hobby, but they both knew represented something more. It was a snowy January evening when everything changed. Connor had asked Maya to meet him at the gas station where they had first met, a request that she had found odd but endearing. He'd been acting strangely all week, alternating between distraction and intense focus, especially when looking at her. The gas station looked different in winter, its harsh lighting softened by gently falling snow. Connor was waiting outside his Range Rover when her Honda pulled in, a nervous smile on his face. "This is very romantic," Maya teased as she approached him, pulling her coat tighter against the chill. "Nothing says I love you like the smell of gasoline." Connor laughed, taking her hands in his. "I wanted to bring you back to where it all began, the place where I was just a guy helping a beautiful woman with car trouble. And now you're just my boyfriend who happens to be a tech genius millionaire," Maya replied with a grin. "Funny how things work out." Connor's expression grew serious. "Maya, meeting you that day was the best thing that ever happened to me. Before you, I was just going through the motions work, success, more work. You showed me what really matters." Maya felt her heart begin to race as Connor dropped to one knee in the snow, still holding her hands. "I know it's only been 6 months," he continued, his voice slightly shaky despite his confident demeanor. "But when you know, you know. And I know that I want to spend the rest of my life with you." He released one of her hands to reach into his pocket, pulling out a small velvet box. When he opened it, Maya gasped at the simple but elegant diamond ring inside. "Maya Turner, will you marry me?" Maya stared at the man kneeling before her, not the millionaire tech CEO, but the kind, funny, passionate person she had fallen in love with. The one who remembered her students' names and brought her coffee just the way she liked it. The one who respected her independence while still finding ways to support her dreams. "Yes," she whispered, then louder. "Yes." "Of course I will." Connor slipped the ring onto her finger before standing and pulling her into a kiss that was interrupted by the applause and cheers from the gas station attendant and a few customers who had witnessed the proposal. Maya laughed against Connor's lips. "We have an audience?" "I don't care," Connor replied, lifting her off her feet in a spin that made her squeal. "I would shout it from the rooftops if I could." Later that night, as they celebrated with champagne in Connor's condo, Maya marveled at the twist of fate that had led her here. "If my car hadn't broken down that day," she mused, "I would have found you some other way," Connor replied confidently. "Maybe not as quickly, but we would have found each other eventually." "How can you be so sure?" Maya asked. Connor pulled her close. "Because some things are just meant to be, and you and me, we were written in the stars, Maya Turner. Soon to be Maya Evans," she corrected with a smile. The wedding took place the following summer, a beautiful, intimate ceremony in the backyard of their new home. Maya wore a simple, elegant dress and carried a bouquet of wildflowers. Connor couldn't take his eyes off her as she walked down the aisle on her father's arm. Their vows were personal and heartfelt. Connor promised to always see her for who she was, not what he could give her. Maya promised to remind him of life's simple joys and to never let him work through vacation again. Layla served as maid of honor, and Connor's college roommate Sam stood as best man. The guest list was small, just close friends and family, despite Connor's prominence in the tech world. It was exactly as they both wanted it, authentic, warm, and focused on their love rather than any external trappings. At the reception, Connor surprised Maya by unveiling his wedding gift, the finalized plans for the Maya Turner Community Arts Center, to be built in an underserved neighborhood near her school. The center would provide free art classes to children and adults, with Maya as its director whenever she decided to transition from classroom teaching. "This isn't from me," Connor explained as Maya wiped happy tears from her eyes. "It's from the Evans Foundation. Your proposal was the most compelling one we received all year." "You mean—" Maya couldn't finish the sentence. "I mean, you earned this on your own merits," Connor confirmed. "The board doesn't even know we're together. They just know you're the passionate art teacher with the incredible vision for bringing creativity to everyone." Maya threw her arms around him, overwhelmed by his understanding of what would truly mean the most to her recognition of her own abilities, rather than charity from her husband. As they swayed together for their first dance, Maya reflected on the journey that had brought them here, from a broken-down car at a random gas station to this perfect day, surrounded by the people they loved most. "Penny for your thoughts, Mrs. Evans," Connor murmured in her ear. "I was just thinking how lucky I am that my car broke down that day," Maya replied, "and how even luckier I am that the handsome stranger who offered to help turned out to be not just a millionaire, but the love of my life." Connor spun her in a gentle twirl before pulling her back to him. "I'm the lucky one. Do you know how rare it is to find someone who sees past all the external stuff to the real person underneath?" "About as rare as finding a tech millionaire who stops to help strangers at gas stations, I'd imagine," Maya teased. "I only stopped because you were so beautiful," Connor admitted with a grin. "The car troubles were just a bonus," Maya laughed. "And here I thought you were being altruistic?" "Nope, completely selfish motives from the start," he replied, pulling her closer as the music continued. "Best decision I ever made." 3 years later, Maya stood in the doorway of their home's nursery, watching as Connor gently rocked their 6-month-old daughter, Charlotte, singing softly to lull her to sleep. The baby's eyes were already drooping, her tiny hand curled around her father's finger. The Community Arts Center had been open for 2 years now, thriving under Maya's part-time direction as she balanced it with motherhood. Connor had scaled back his role at Evatech, bringing in a CEO to handle day-to-day operations, while he focused on product development and spending more time with his family. Their life together wasn't perfect. They had disagreements about money occasionally, different parenting philosophies sometimes, and the normal stresses of two strong personalities sharing a life. But underlying it all was a foundation of respect, trust, and a love that had only grown stronger since that fateful day at the gas station. "She's finally asleep," Connor whispered, carefully laying Charlotte in her crib before joining Maya at the doorway. "You're getting good at that," Maya said, leaning into him as his arm slipped around her waist. "I have hidden talents," he replied with a wink. They made their way downstairs to the living room, collapsing together on the couch in the companionable exhaustion of new parents. "I got a call from Eddie today," Maya said, resting her head on Connor's shoulder. "Eddie, the mechanic?" Maya nodded. "He wanted to know if we were interested in selling the Honda. Apparently he has a client looking for a reliable used car for his daughter." Connor raised an eyebrow. "The Honda that broke down and nearly left you stranded? That reliable car?" "Hey, it's gotten me through a lot," Maya defended, "but I think it's time to let it go. It's just sitting in the garage now that we have the SUV for Charlotte." "Are you sure? That car brought us together. It's practically a family heirloom at this point." Maya laughed. "A rusty, unreliable family heirloom." "I seem to recall you being very attached to it," Connor reminded her. "Something about it being from your grandmother?" "It was," Maya acknowledged, "but I don't need the car to remember her. And maybe it can bring someone else luck." Connor squeezed her hand. "Like it brought us together?" "Exactly." Maya turned to face him. "Besides, it's time for something new. Eddie's client has a teenage daughter who needs a first car. It feels right to pass it on." Connor nodded. "If you're ready, I support it. Though I might have to stop by the gas station occasionally for nostalgia's sake." "I think that can be arranged," Maya replied with a smile. "Maybe we can take Charlotte there someday and tell her the story of how Mommy got stranded and Daddy came to the rescue." "The sanitized version, of course," Connor added with a chuckle. "We'll leave out the part where you thought I might be an axe murderer." "To be fair, that is exactly what an axe murderer would say," Maya replied, echoing her words from years ago. Connor pulled her close for a kiss. "Good thing I was just a millionaire falling in love with you instead." "The best thing," Maya agreed, resting her head against his chest, listening to the steady beat of his heart, the heart that had chosen her on that unexpected evening when her car had broken down and changed the course of her life forever. Outside, snow began to fall gently, coating the world in a peaceful blanket of white. Inside, wrapped in each other's arms, Maya and Connor sat in comfortable silence, two people from different worlds who had found their way to each other through a combination of chance, choice, and perhaps a touch of destiny. The old Honda had carried Maya as far as it could. Now it would begin a new journey with someone else, while Maya and Connor continued theirs, a journey that had started with a broken-down car and a chance encounter, and had led to a love that neither of them had been looking for, but both had been ready to embrace when it found them. As Charlotte's soft coos came through the baby monitor, Maya smiled. Some breakdowns, it seemed, were really breakthroughs in disguise. Her car's failure that day had led to the greatest success of her life, finding Connor, building a family, and creating a future brighter than either of them could have imagined alone. "I love you," Connor whispered, pressing a kiss to the top of her head. "I love you too," Maya replied, knowing with absolute certainty that no matter what roads lay ahead, they would travel them together, the teacher and the tech millionaire, who had found each other at a gas station and never looked back.